I love this fact that Sturgeon Bay, the actual was not the bay was not connected.
It was not connected to Lake Michigan, not until the late 1800s.
So there was no shipping. There was no. They just had a bay.
We had a shipyard. We still would build ships
Yeah.
in Sturgeon Bay, but there wasn't that canal to get to Lake Michigan. That came about because a bunch of shipping companies were really upset about losing shipping through Death's Door.
Because that's how they got here.
Right, they would go around the tip of the peninsula, which
Right.
was very dangerous with sailing vessels. So they lobbied, and Congress finally got going. It took them a while, but they got the canal built. And now the irony is, the shipping companies, it's more risky for them to come through the canal because of recreational boat traffic.
Oh, is
so
that
the
right?
shipping companies nowadays will go around the tip instead
Which
of
is
coming
part of
through.
your commerce as well.
Right, it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It all works together.
Yeah.
But yeah, they built this. They did it the hard way. Steam shovels, cranes, dynamite,
It took
handheld
them
shovels.
and I did not know this until like a moment ago. It took them like 12 years to do it.
Right.
So they started 1872, and in December of 1881. So 9 years to get it going.
And if you go out to the canal today, I mean, they just took out the stuff and put it on the side. So the hills are still there with all the dirt they took out and everything. So
Amazing.
And you have a lighthouse over here. What is this display?
we do. This is the Bailey's Harbor range lights in miniature. And what range lights are designed to do is for a ship's captain to know they are on track to safely enter the harbor. And the only way to do that is to make sure that these two lights are completely lined up, one right on top of the other. So they would look and steer the ship until you had those two lights over each other.
Sure.
And then you were safe to go in the harbor on that course.
And I thought it was just one light at the actual lighthouse.
Sometimes they are, but for range lights, they were to just help get into the harbor safely.
Yeah, what a nice extra layer.
This is a radio broadcast from Labor Day 1942, and 5 different ships were launched here on the same day. Wow. So this national radio broadcast happened then, and over here we have some of those champagne bottles, one of them from PC 1229, Patrol Craft 1229, and you can see right here, this is that bottle that's here in this case.
Wow.
As she commissioned that warship that day.
What a day of emotion and celebrating.
Absolutely. And there were lots of crews. The Navy would be here and they would crew up this ship and take off through the river system to get down to the Gulf of Mexico or through the St. Lawrence Seaway to get to the Atlantic. So the military would take over these boats right away and then take them off to combat somewhere. Even had a French Navy crew here. Free French took over a patrol craft and set a record for the fastest transit from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico on the Mississippi River.
And when did it sink?
It sank in 1869.
Okay.
And it was 1969 when a fisherman's net snagged on it. 1970 when they raised it up. And they put a barge out over the wreck and came up with a way to lift it off the bottom of the lake. And they had cables under it, and you could go out. You could take your pleasure boat out there, and as long as you promised to give 100 turns on the crank, you could tie up your boat and get out on the barge and help raise this ship up. And eventually they got it to the surface, brought it into Marinette, and her own pumps, her own bilge pumps, still functioned 100 years later.
Wow.
So nothing happened to her. She floated on her own once they got her pumped out, and they re-rigged it, put the mast back in, re-rigged it, and used it as an attraction for a while. But they didn't do any preservation work, and the wood started to deteriorate and fall apart, and we lost that piece of history.
Say maybe we should preserve.
It was an expensive proposition, and they didn't do it. When we did this, I had never heard of a lob tree. And here's a photo of one that still exists in Door County today.
I've never heard of one.
It's just a tree that they would go up and cut the branches off of, and it would be a sign, like a traffic sign. This is where you turn.
So to be a lab tree, you need the height, and then you take the branches off. So
Right.
it's not just taking the branches off makes it a lab tree. You need something that...
And there would have to be a reason. There's clearly in this art, there's something back there that they would want to get to, so this was a marker for that.
That's fascinating. I love it. They really got to be creative. Now, we have to go back to the sturgeon, because as I was waiting for you, I can't believe that the females live so much longer than the males.
They live a very long time, and I mean, and they've been here. They're dinosaurs. They've been here 100 million years. So this is literally our living past that we still see day to day.
Right.
And they're coming back in Lake Michigan. They're in Lake Winnebago, but they are on their way back in Lake Michigan through various programs that are happening, and they have been seen here. And the problem, what happened to them is a lot of their spawning grounds got developed. So until regulations came along to curb that and help bring them back, that was sort of what slowed things down for them.
Thanks, Kevin. This was
Thank
awesome.
you.
I can't imagine John's floors are as fun as mine.